common ingredients from my childhood are still somewhat hard to find in the local supermarkets here. So everything is relative. What is secret ingredient to you is a stable item to me, and we use many of these ingredients in our everyday home-style cooking, like this preserved fish. This is preserved by dehydration, sun drying. And this is also preserved fish. You soak them in oil, just like olive oil for sun-dried tomato. This is sun-dried fish. And this has been in this jar for approximately 244 years. I inherited this. What I'm trying to say is, once you do this, they don't have oxidation. They don't have to worry about anything. If you keep it in the fridge, you would last for at least about a year or so. So make sure once you open, use it, put it back in the fridge, okay? This way, there's minimal dehydration and oxidation. The only thing you have to worry about sometimes might go rancid, so you make sure you eat them up in a hurry. This is dry fish. Normally, you cut it up. After you cut it up, you should let it wash and rinse before you use it. Normally, you steam it, okay? The piece coming out from this jar, it looks like this, okay? Now, when this is done, I'll let it set aside and put it right over here. The first thing I want to show you is a very interesting dish I call minced pork with preserved salted fish. Preservation of fish is very, very popular and very common in many countries where there's no refrigeration. And I ate a lot of them when I was growing up. My mom always served those. And I always thought our kitchen is the salt fish capital of the world. You can go to the store and buy a whole fish or section of it. It can be expensive, so it's really worth its salt. In this particular dish, I'm going to use approximately 3/4 pound of lean pork. Chinese use a lot of lean pork in their soup and in all their steamed dishes. How do you mince pork? Because no food processor. All you have to do is slice this thin. Slice this thin like this, okay? Set it aside, okay? Slice this thin. Slice this thin, set this aside, put them all together. And then you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Set it aside, and you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Good exercise. Put them all together, and then you mince it. You can use it one knife, but it's more efficient to use 2 knives. I'm so glad you are excited. Me too. This is how the Chinese do it. This is how my grandmother is doing it. You use 2 knives. This way, you can do a much more efficient job. When it's done, you transfer the food from here to here. Done. Okay? And then, when this is done, you're going to quickly put everything together. You're going to mix it with 1 Chinese sausage. Okay? And then some water chestnut, okay? Water chestnut. And you have to chop some water chestnut like this, see? All crushed water chestnut. Crushed water chestnut, done. And also, you want to quickly marinate this with a tiny bit of egg white, 1 egg white, mix them all up. Tiny bit of dry sherry, 1 tablespoon of dry sherry, and tiny bit of sesame seed oil, and some cornstarch, okay? And white pepper, mix them all up, okay? After you mix it up, make sure you you can mix it up over here. It's no problem at all. Bigger bowl, so you can mix more efficiently. It feels good. Nice and smooth. You can do this while you're watching the Yan Can Cook show. When this is nice and done, you see, you got all kind of seasoning and ingredient, and the Chinese sausage give that nice flavor, and the water chestnut give that texture. So when it's done, you form a little patty from here. Put it over here. You form a little patty like this, see? Done. And then you chop up some green onion if you want, okay? And you sprinkle the green onion on top so you can steam it. You can steam this until they are done. It takes approximately, okay, look at this. And then put a piece of salted fish right on the top. And then, if you want, you can also julienne some ginger. 1, 2, 3, 4. Julienne some ginger, and we'll put it right here. Look at this. You can mince the ginger, or you can julienne the ginger. Okay, sprinkle the ginger around. This is how my mom used to do it for the past 40 years. And you put them all over here. This way, you can steam this. Now, of course, you cannot steam unless you turn this on. So we're going to steam this. We're going to steam this until they're done. It takes about 12 to 14 minutes. In the meantime, I want to quickly show you something also very, very popular, very important, very traditional and exotic. What I'm going to do is a dry bok choy soup. Now, this ingredient is very important because we have some dry bok choy here. This is how dry bok choy look. And this is soaked dry bok choy, okay? First, to save time, we're going to heat up the broth, okay? Now, bok choy. Bok means white. Choy is leafy vegetable, okay? Look at this. In China, everybody dry their own. In a good harvest, like in a bok choy season, you see more bamboo posts like this than people. They dry bok choy all over the place, in their backyard, in the front yard, in their neighbor's backyard. It's marvelous. In this particular dish, all you have to do is soak the bok choy for about half an hour to an hour, okay? And then you cut up some lean pork. See, this pork is a piece of fat. It's lean. I want to get rid of the fat. Okay, look at this. By parallel cutting technique. And then we cut off this piece of pork fat. Nice and lean. And then I cut this up into bite-sized chunks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then put in my broth. And then we're going to have lean pork bok choy soup. Bring to a boil, and the bok choy is already there, so already soaked, so also put it in, okay? Now, the other ingredient, very, very popular, you can use is the, look at this. You can use figs. This is the brown figs, and this is the white figs. And then you can also the jujube. This is jujube, sweet date, also called Peking matzo. And then you can also use a tiny bit of ginger, a couple slices of ginger, put it over there, and also salt to taste. We're going to put a tiny bit of salt to taste, okay? And that's all you have to do. Put the fig or the jujube right there. And sometimes they're also very traditional. They also use a tiny bit of bitter almond. You see, this is the bitter almond. Look at like this, very small. And we put the bitter almond over there, and you cook it for about 2 hours over low heat. Now here, everybody know that we have gallows posts. In China, we measure everything with this bamboo pole. We put it all together. This is facts. It's not funny at all. Now, we'll cover this up, and if you notice this, has been boiling for about 2.5 hours. So we can serve these right over here. It is very easy to do. Look at this. This is boiling. And it looks good. And this is our bok choy soup. And let's look at our other dish. It is hot. Here you have this scrumptious minced pork with preserved fish and this dry bok choy soup. Here is the secret ingredient that you don't want to meet face to face. Dong, 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 dong. One of the all-time classics in the Chinese banquet table is shark's fin soup. Despite its name, shark's fin is not tough. If you know how to prepare it properly, all you have to do is soak this darn thing in water for a couple of days until they're softened, and you scrape it off the surface, get rid of the bones, and you end up having gelatinous stuff. Looks like this in a store. You dry them up, it can keep for months. You can use this to make soup with savory chicken broth, or you can braise shark's fin with savory broth. Classic dish. Now, this is really something you can sink your jaws into. This is shark's fin soup. It's delicious. Look, man eating shark. We're going to do a braised dry oyster with black moss. It seems we're doing everything dry today. We're drying everything. We have dry bok choy. They call choy gone in Chinese. We have dry fish. Now we have dry oyster. Look at this. This is dry oyster. When it's dry, it looks like this. When it's soaked, it looks like this. See, different color. Nice and firm. And we also have black moss. This is black moss, dry black moss, called fat choy. And this is soaked black moss. It's very easy to do. It should go really well. All of these dry stuff should go really well with dry beer. In fact, my nephew tried to dry beer under the sun for 2 months. One smart kid. Fat choy. This is fat choy. It's usually used in Chinese New Year for Chinese New Year dish because fat choy means, see, 恭喜發財. See, fat is to grow, to expand. Choy is your wealth. So it's to wish everybody prosperity. In this particular dish, we're going to get ready some ginger just to get you excited. Just to get you excited. We minced ginger. Make sure you pay total attention. We do it one more time. Minced ginger. And I have some minced shallot and some green onion. Okay? We'll also put some green onion. Cut it up, cut it up, cut it up. Set it aside. Put it right here. And then we're going to cook. This particular dish is very, very easy to cook. Heat up your wok first. When the wok is nice and hot, use a tiny, tiny bit of oil. Not much. Put some shallot and ginger. Okay, shallot and ginger. And then you put the dry oyster, which has been soaked. Oyster is called 好市, means good business. That's why they always serve this too. During Chinese New Year. This is sizzling experience. And then you put a tiny bit of dry black moss, fat choy, right here. The great thing about this is you can braise it. You don't have to worry about it for the next few minutes. We use a 3/4 cup of broth and put a tiny bit of sesame seed oil and 1 teaspoon to 1 tablespoon of dry sherry and set it aside. And we have all of these ingredients. Braise it with a tiny, tiny bit of green onion and we'll cover up and let it braise. When it's done, you simply thicken it up. Okay, cover this up. Now, everybody know that this particular dry fat choy is actually a moss. In China, they actually call fat choy. You know, fat is hair. You see the resemblance? Choy is vegetable. It's called hair-like seaweed. That's why they call black moss and also hair-like seaweed. Now, I borrowed this little thing here. See this? I borrowed this toupee from my cousin, Tom. He loved to look young, but he doesn't like to wear a hat, you see. He didn't know that I borrowed this. You see the difference? I'm going to give it back to Tom later. Now, the next dish I want to show you is a dish I would call jellyfish salad. It's very easy to do. And this is a piece of jellyfish. The whole piece, the whole big round piece, like this. I cut it up already. And I put them all together, and I'm going to julienne this. Cut them all up into pieces, and I julienne this. 1, 2, 3. After you julienne this, the amazing thing is, I don't know why they call jellyfish. You don't put nothing in a jelly mold in a party. Put them all together. The trick to this dish is to give that nice crunchy texture is you put it in boiling water and let it cook for a few seconds. You pick it right out and dump it in cold water. You rinse under cold water a couple of times. So the trick is the speed. From hot to cold, cold to hot, hot to cold, cold to hot, hot to cold, cold to hot. Several times. Look at this. Never overcook this. Immediately take it out, dump it in ice cold water. Okay? In the meantime, I am going to put this in and let it drain well. And we're going to make a dressing. Okay? We're going to make a dressing out of these. I'm going to put this over here. A dressing would be well. Let's shut this off first. And check our oyster first to make sure everything is okay. Look at this. It looks great. And it's still braising over low heat. And then when it's almost ready, we thicken it up and we're ready. This particular dish, all we have to do is make a little dressing. We'll use some vinegar. This is the Chinese dark vinegar. You can use the regular vinegar. And also use a tiny bit of sesame seed oil, 1 teaspoon of sesame seed oil, a tiny bit of soy sauce. If you want, you can use salt. I like to use soy sauce because it's more tasty, not as salty. And a tiny bit of sugar and white pepper. Mix them all up. Look at this. Mix them all up. And this way, you can do this ahead of time. You do not have to do it in the last minute. Okay? When it's nice and done, this is good. You know why? Because when it's done, you can serve these in this nice platter. Look at this. Put it right over here. And looks really good. And this is one of the most popular appetizer item in northern Chinese dish and southern Chinese dish. When this is done, we also want to show you and make sure we also take a look at our braised dry oyster. As I said earlier, you should stir this occasionally to allow uniform cooking. And also you have to thicken it up. You notice that I use chopstick to do it because I can stir things around. I use chopstick to cook. I use chopstick to eat. I even use chopstick to pick up my pork chops. Oh, when this is done, you shut it off, and all you have to do is get one of these little things. Look at this. Put it right over here, and 1 or 2 pieces of this oyster, and put it right over here. And then you do another one, and you do another one. You continue to do it until you ran out of time. Okay, look at this, very easy to do. Here, we have 2 very interesting traditional secret ingredient dish. Braised dry oyster with black moss and the jellyfish salad for you. Today's show is about secret ingredient. Some of these exotic ingredients you have never seen before. And you might never see it again. So concentrate. Here is dry bamboo shoot. Put in soup and braised dishes. Casserole. This dry beef tendon, high in collagen, good quality protein. This dry bean curd sheet from soybeans. When you make soybean milk, you have this. Skim out and you dry it. This is what they call the wood ear, also called tree ear, wan yi, mok yi. And this is bean curd sheet stick. The same thing except it's into a stick. And here is dry persimmon. You eat it like a little snack, a little candy. It's very nice. I love it. This dry red day you put in soup and called hong zhou. Put in bok choy soup, it's wonderful. Give that sweetness. And this is dry fish. Also, actually, it looks like a little worm, but I call it dry fish. Okay? And here you see the fish maw. This is how the fish control the air, the flotation. And here the little dry anchovy. All of these are very traditional, everyday ingredients. Now the secret is out. About all those secret ingredients, I want to show you how to do another dish called wok-braised Chinese fungus. Now, the word fungus is bad word, negative connotation. So all you have to do is wok saute mushroom from China. Okay, we have some of these very popular. Today we're actually going to have some fun with fungus. Here is snow mushroom. It's called sui yi, snow mushroom. And here is wan yi. You see, little wan yi, a little bit smaller than this mok yi or tree ear. It's very good for you because they believe this will slow down your blood clot and reduce your cholesterol. Mushroom is very, very good. And this is, of course, the regular shiitake mushroom, dry, okay? When you soak the mok yi, the tree ear, they get to be so big. One piece will feed 600 people. To save time, we are going to quickly water blanch some Napa cabbage to put in our dish, okay? Let's turn it down. Make sure to put everything in so we can parboil this, okay? Parboil so it's nice and soft. So add some more vegetable in our vegetarian dish. To make a very interesting fungus dish, we need a funky wok. Look at this, a funky wok. Now, here you have snow fungus and you have cloud ear. It sounds so heavenly. Make sure this is hot. When you soak the snow fungus, you can see on the bottom, they have a little stem like this. You got to remove this. So the thing to do is break this up first. Break this up into pieces, bite-sized pieces like this, okay? And then you remove this little stem because it's very tough and you don't want it, okay? You remove this. You don't want it. Remove this little yellow piece right on the bottom. So the little piece, the stem. You don't want the stem, okay? Now, when this is nice and done, you break up into pieces, bite-sized pieces, set it aside. And then you have some mushroom. In this particular dish, we also use some ginkgo nut. This is ginkgo nut. You can buy them fresh, you can crack it, or you can buy them in a can. When it's nice and ready, you heat up your funky wok, hand paint. And you put a tiny bit of oil, and you mince with a tiny bit of ginger. Once again, I want to make sure you are totally alert. Are you? Minced ginger. Put it right over here. Give some flavor to it. And then in the meantime, we're going to put all the ingredients. The shiitake mushroom, the donggu, right here. Already soaked for half an hour. Put it right here. And then the ginkgo nut. Put it right here. And then also the snow fungus. Put it right over here. Stir fry. And then you put approximately 2/3 of a cup to 3/4 cup of chicken broth or just vegetable broth. No problem at all. Okay? Look at this. And then put a tiny bit of dry sherry. Let it braise. Let it braise. And some soy sauce or oyster sauce. Okay? Tiny bit of soy sauce too. This way, you let it braise for approximately half an hour to 45 minutes over very, very low heat. In the meantime, we can take out the Napa cabbage. Then you can serve it. Now, of course, everybody know you should always make the dish looks really nice. So I want to very, very quickly show you just one simple garnishing. Look at this. Parallel cut technique. Parallel cut. One over right here. Then you can put it right here. You see that? So easy to do. When this is done, you thicken the dish. You thicken the dish. Always remember the dish is thickened. Very easy to do. Look at this. Thicken the dish. When it's thickened, serve it, okay? Put it right over here. Look at this. This is absolutely delicious. Now that we have discovered all these secret ingredients, try them. You just may like them. In case you don't, you can always send them to me. Until next time, if Yan can cook, so can you. Join in.